Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us here for a live edition of our 10 Weather Impact Show. I'm Meteorologist Aaron White as we are tracking the heat and humidity, of course, here today. It's been around this afternoon. Already got temperatures up in the 80s and getting closer to 90 degrees here now, and that is setting the stage for some thunderstorms that are expected to develop here over the course of the next couple of hours. And we could be talking about a few stronger thunderstorms as well. Some gusty winds, heavy rainfall, that's going to be the primary concern here today. And then we are looking ahead to a big cool down coming our way here in the extended forecast. So let's dive into things that are going on right now. As we take a look at the radar picture here, we are already tracking a couple showers there to the northwest of Marion right now. These are not severe. They're not producing a lot of activity. There's no lightning with them as well, but this is the initial phase of these showers and storms that are developing, and they're going to continue to build up. They'll grow in strength as we continue through the next couple of hours, and likely as we get into the late afternoon and early evening, that's when we are going to be tracking the chance for a few of the stronger thunderstorms. So the window for that really between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. So we're here live. Just want to give you an update on what we are going to be tracking as we continue through this late afternoon and into the evening hours. So the showers developing right now, going to continue to do so. And really what we're watching is this system that's passing through the Great Lakes region. It brought some showers and storms to the north earlier today, and it's going to be this area right in here that we're going to have to watch, areas around Marion back towards Dayton, for the development of showers and thunderstorms, and then they'll be tracking to the east across central Ohio as we continue through today. So this area in green, that is a low end potential for severe weather. So we're not really talking about any widespread severe weather, hail, wind, or tornadoes, but there will be a couple storms that could get strong enough that they'll be close to severe limits. So we're talking about potential for gusty winds of 40 to near 60 miles per hour. It is a possibility that we could see a couple severe wind gusts here today. And then in addition to that is going to be for some heavy downpours. And the question that remains is how fast these storms are going to be moving through, and that's going to have an impact on how much rainfall we see and if there's a chance for maybe some localized flash flooding. So we'll also be watching that through the course of this evening, and then by about midnight or so, a lot of this clears out of here and we are looking at quieter conditions, drier conditions, and even some cooler temperatures coming our way here for tomorrow. But for right now, we got the sunshine out there. Here's a live look at Cambridge showing ample sunshine, clear blue skies, and temperatures getting warm into the upper 80s, already close to 90 for some locations. And that's where we're at in Columbus, 89 degrees. The current temperature feels like 92 though. Again, dew point temperatures are up there into the upper 60s to near 70, making it feel a bit uncomfortable here this afternoon. And we'll see if we actually hit 90 degrees. That would be another 90-degree day for the summer. We've already had 21 days at or above 90. Normal for summertime is about 18 days. So we're a little bit above normal in terms of the amount of hot weather and humid weather that we've seen through the course of the summer, and we could have another one here later on today if we actually hit 90 degrees. But as we continue through this afternoon, like I mentioned here on the hour-by-hour forecast, we're starting to see that development happening right now. So by 4:30, starting to see more widespread activity here to the north and west. And as we head towards the 6 o'clock hour, that's when we have that potential for a few of these storms to get a little bit stronger. And here, as you see, notice some red showing up there. That's an indication that we are seeing some stronger convection, potential for those gustier winds, and of course the heavier downpours. That continues to build through. So by about 6:30, 7, 8 o'clock, we're going to see that moving through the Columbus metro, continuing to build to the south and east. And then by 10 p.m., still some activity around here, but it does start to fall apart as we get later into this evening and of course into the overnight hours. So by tomorrow morning, we are left with cloudy skies. Could still be some drizzle around, but we're not really expecting any widespread rain here for tomorrow. A couple spotty showers could build in from the north, but what you will notice tomorrow is it's going to be cloudy throughout most of the day, a little bit of sunshine here later on, and the temperature is going to be a lot cooler. We're only in the upper 70s here for tomorrow, and that's not even our big cool down. We'll warm back up through the 80s over the course of the next several days after tomorrow. But next week, This is the outlook for the 6 to 10 day period. So the end of our 7-day forecast and going throughout much of the next work week, we're looking at below normal temperatures, and normal highs for this time of year are in the lower 80s. So we're talking about 70-degree temperatures for not just one day, multiple days in our extended forecast. But for today, we'll see that high near 90 degrees, taking that drop to 78 here for tomorrow, and then a slow warm up, but it doesn't actually get too hot here by Friday and Saturday. And if anything, we may actually have to drop those high temperatures a little bit to the mid 80s. So that 87, it could only be about 85 here for Friday and Saturday, depending on how things play out here for the end of the week. And then by Sunday, that's when we start to see that drop in temperatures. So we're down to the lower 80s here on Sunday with a high of around 83. And then by Monday, there's that cool down. We are looking at highs back into the 70s here for the start of the work week. And that's just one of the days, because I think by Tuesday, we could be talking about temperatures into the lower 70s and overnight lows getting down into the upper 40s to lower 50s. So a big cool down again is on the way here as we look ahead to next week. So that's what's going on here locally. But one of the bigger weather stories this week has, of course, been Hurricane Aaron. That's been been in the talk for really the last several days after it went from a tropical storm back Friday morning and reached Category 5 status over the weekend. And while the storm is not making landfall, it is creating some hazardous surf along the East Coast. This video out of North Carolina shows a lifeguard actually rescuing swimmers at Wrightsville Beach yesterday. The town actually issued a temporary restriction on swimming on the same day, and really what was going on is a lot of the lifeguards actually had to conduct more than nearly about 50 rip current rescues by just 3 p.m. on Monday. So a lot of activity that was happening there, of course, in North Carolina. And what we are still talking about here is going to be that tropical storm is going to be still making its way through, as it is a hurricane right now, eventually going to be weakening down to a tropical storm later into the week and over the course of the weekend. But right now, it is a powerful hurricane still, a Category 2 hurricane. It has weakened a bit from, of course, what it was over the weekend, that Category 5. And even just today, this morning, it was a Category 3 hurricane with winds sustained at 115 miles per hour, now down to a Category 2 because it's encountering a lot of dry air. It's encountering some wind shear, and that's been making the system a bit more unorganized. And as we look at it, it does look a lot unorganized compared to what it was over the weekend, but there is starting to see a little bit more deep convection happening here right towards the center, and that could actually be a sign that it may start to regain some of that strength as we go through the rest of today into tomorrow. Latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center continues it with a Category 2 status for the next several days. And again, you'll notice it staying away from land, at least the center of the storm. So the strongest winds, the worst of the conditions, staying away from land. But you get 100 miles, 200 miles away from the storm, you can still have some impacts. And then again, that's what's happening here along the East Coast. That area in red, that actually indicates high surf advisories along the East Coast, as eventually, as that storm does continue to the north and east, it's going to be sending a lot of the wave action all the way up into the eastern seaboard of the United States, creating that risk for the high surf and dangerous rip currents as we continue through really the next several days. So a lot of things that are happening here with Hurricane Aaron. And also something that's been interesting with the hurricane is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, their hurricane hunters actually flew into the eye of the storm. So take a look at this video. You'll see they're flying right now. There you go. It opens up, clear skies. They are in the eye of that Category 5 storm back over the weekend. The hurricane hunters fly into the storm to gather data about the hurricane center and how that's going to play into the overall forecast. But really just wild to see that video flying through the eye wall, the most intense part of the hurricane, where you got the highest winds, you have the highest amount of rainfall right there around the eye, and then flying into the center of it and just looking up and seeing just clear skies, a rather incredible video there from the Hurricane Hunter. So again, it was a dangerous storm, and it still is a dangerous hurricane that we are tracking here for the next couple of days, with the overall track showing it moving to, again, the north and east and staying away from land, but creating that risk for the surf and rip currents here over the course of the next few days. So that's what's going on with Hurricane Aaron, but something also going on locally, and something actually really cool that you can check out. And of course, a lot of people are fascinated by dinosaurs, and there's actually a new exhibit that has just been unveiled at COSI. Meteorologist Meredith Garfalo actually reports from COSI about this new exhibit.
You may not realize it, but the history of dinosaurs, there's so much science that goes into that as well. I mean, you think about geology and then the history. So Joe is here from COSI, and we're going to get a sneak peek of a really cool exhibit here.
That's right.
With somebody that's a lot bigger than both of us.
Yeah, we start here with probably the most famous dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus rex. We've known about this animal for well over 100 years, but we're still learning new things. And I think that's really cool, and that's one of the themes of this exhibit, is how do we learn about these extinct animals?
And sometimes you learn things that you might not learn in the classroom.
Right.
All right, well, let's take a look at the exhibit a little bit better, but first, can we take a selfie?
Of course, this is what everyone does. All right, here we go.
All right, sounds good. There's just so much craze. I mean, you have Jurassic Park from our generation,
Yep.
and then now you have Jurassic World, and there's so many exciting things happening with dinosaurs. But here I think it's cool because, is this a real bone?
This is a cast of probably the largest dinosaur, Patagotitan majorum. People love to stand by here and kind of compare themselves to this. It's hard to imagine such a huge creature walking the earth.
I was going to say, even in my heels, I'm nowhere close to as big as this thigh bone is.
But here we don't just have things that you can look at behind glass like a lot of natural history museums. We're a hands-on science center, so we can actually touch a lot of these fossils.
Wait, doesn't it hurt them?
No.
Oh, so this is good. Okay.
I think it's important for people to be able to touch this object that belonged to an animal that was around 150 million years ago. I just think that's so cool.
I think it's cool too, and it's literally, you have history in front of you and you get to experience it in a different way instead of just going somewhere or looking at pictures.
Yeah.
And this display behind me too, this
Yeah,
is
so
really
that was what we call a
incredible.
body fossil, like the claw. This is what we call a trace fossil, or these fossil trackways, which tell us how these animals moved.
Wow. So these would be the paw prints, per se, of a dinosaur?
Yeah, so an animal like that, one that we touched the claw of, what we call a sauropod, the long-necked dinosaurs, they walked across this floodplain, left their footprints, and that lets us learn a lot about how they moved and maybe how they acted in groups.
Very cool. So what else do you have in this display that's worth checking out?
Well, we'll take a walk here, and we're going to head to one of my favorite parts, because we love to inspire curiosity here at COSI. Dinosaurs are one of the topics that kind of get people interested in science. And
this is cool.
We've got these great skeletons, but I love our diorama over here, because when people walk in here, they can imagine that they have traveled back in time to the early Cretaceous period, and they can see some of the plants and animals. If you stand here and listen, you can even hear cicadas, just like outside here in Ohio.
So the dinosaurs had cicadas just like we do?
Yep.
That's how old cicadas are?
Yes.
See, these are fun facts you wouldn't just learn normally in a textbook or at school, or you might learn at school, but so I can hear the sounds. And so tell me a little bit about what this was actually from what they envisioned it was like back then.
So this is a recreation of a scene that you might have seen about 130 million years ago in what is modern day Liaoning, China. All the animals and plants that would have been around there. Some that you might recognize, like the frogs and turtles, some that you might not recognize.
So why is an experience like this so important for kids? And even adults, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things I love about this area is that kids come in here and they go, wow, but also the adults do too. So it gets people excited to learn more.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. It's really exciting to know that we can literally go back in time right here in our own backyards and learn a lot about STEM, Joe, and just another way you can experience STEM right here at COSI in Columbus.
All right, some pretty cool stuff there. And again, that was meteorologist Meredith Garfalo reporting on that, and definitely a cool exhibit if you want to check that out there at COSI. But let's get another check of the radar as we are tracking those showers developing here right now. This is a look over towards the showers that are near and north of Marion at the moment. And again, these are not severe. They are producing some at least brief heavy downpours as they are moving towards the east at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So not really fast movement with them, and they are going to be continuing to develop here through the course of this afternoon. We're only really watching that area of activity here at the moment across Ohio, but as we look back towards the west, we are seeing some more showers and storms developing there just off the edge of the screen around the Indianapolis metro. And some of those are also going to be moving towards the east. And what we're really going to be watching is for more development to kind of connect those areas of showers as we continue through the course of this afternoon. So really anywhere that is in this green shaded color could see some thunderstorms produce some gustier winds up to about 40 to 60 miles per hour. So that really does include most of central Ohio and even areas further to the south, so Jackson, MacArthur, and even Athens. We're still talking about some showers and storms in the forecast, probably not until we get closer to about the 10 o'clock hour for areas in southern and eastern Ohio. But even those areas, again, you are expecting some showers and storms. Likely the severe window, the potential for those stronger storms that would produce the gustier winds, that's going to be between about 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. So really, we have some time, and we're not really anticipating any widespread severe weather, but still something we'll have to watch as the storms again develop to the northwest and then build into the south and east through the course of this afternoon and evening. Things are quiet right now. We got the sunshine out there. We have the conditions for development. We're starting to see some of the clouds already billowing up this afternoon with the heating of the day. 89 degrees. It feels like 92. We got the humidity, of course, out there. And that's all going to lead to those showers and storms. So let's go through the hour-by-hour forecast here one more time, and then we'll continue to track the storms through the course of this afternoon. This is what's happening. We got the development right now, and then by 4 p.m., here's some more scattered showers and storms to the north and west. Areas around Kenton and Bell Fountain starting to see some of that activity, even Marion. And then as we get closer to 6 o'clock, they don't really move that far. So still getting some heavy rainfall, some gustier winds, Marysville to Marion, back towards the Springfield area. And then by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, getting into the Columbus metro. And this is going to be, again, that chance for some of those gustier winds, especially where we see some of those higher cores, the reflectivity there with the red showing up. That's an indication of heavy rainfall, but also just an indication of how strong the storm could be to produce 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts as it tracks through. And then later on, it does start to weaken. So definitely some good news with that as it weakens for tonight, and quieter conditions for tomorrow before we talk about the big cool down in our forecast here as we head into next week. But still even a bit cooler here tomorrow. Again, going from 90 today to the upper 70s here tomorrow. A little bit of a warm up as we get towards the end of the week, into the weekend. Highs are back into the 80s, but I think most of us, if not everyone, looking forward to some lower humidity, cooler temperatures with those highs in the 70s as we head into next week. And then by Monday night, Tuesday morning, it's not on the 7-day forecast, but we could be looking at overnight temperatures by the morning hours of Tuesday in the upper 40s. So a nice break from the heat and humidity coming our way as we head into next week. But that'll do it for us here for today. Again, we are going to be watching the storms as they develop through the course of this afternoon and evening. Coming up later on this evening, Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz will be in to get a latest check on the radar here at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock. So until then, you can catch more news and weather online at 10tv.com.
Well, with today's storms, it is important that you're prepared for severe weather.
10 TV meteorologist Aaron White has more safety tips you need to keep in mind whenever storms roll in.
We are once again talking about thunderstorms here this afternoon, and we need to talk about lightning safety and whether or not we're having severe weather producing tornadoes, hail, and wind. We're always talking about lightning when it comes to thunderstorms. So places where you don't want to be if you're caught out in a thunderstorm, of course, you need to go inside and seek shelter. Worst places you could be is seeking shelter under a tree. That is never advised. Go inside and stay safe. Also, out on the water, people are out boating, kayaking, and paddleboarding. Those are also the worst places to be. If you see changing weather conditions, go to shore and seek shelter. Same thing if you're out of the golf course, go to the clubhouse and stay safe. We spoke with the National Weather Service in Wilmington about lightning safety and some of these statistics for the state of Ohio.
2009 through 2018, there were 365,000 plus flashes in the state of Ohio on average. So that's 1,000 per day. So how many days you go without thunderstorms and lightning, those are going to be lumped in on larger days.
Now, John also mentioned that in Franklin County yesterday evening, there was about 41 to 44 strikes. Now, we weren't talking about severe weather, but still a lot of lightning happening across the county here yesterday evening, and still getting some lightning strikes here this afternoon. So as mentioned, of course, go inside. If you're out in your vehicle, stay inside the vehicle. If it's struck by lightning, the vehicle, the frame of it, will actually ground that lightning. It may fry the electrical systems, but you will still stay safe. And of course, as mentioned, never seek shelter under a tree. And as we have always said, when the thunder roars, go indoors. For 10 TV, I'm meteorologist Aaron White.